NDP leader Jagmeet Singh isn't reading too much into his party's dismal showing in a series of recent elections, insisting he's playing a long game as he works to shore up support across Canada in preparation for the 2019 federal election. And he's waving off suggestions that he didn't do enough to help the NDP candidate in the East Toronto suburb of Scarborough, where Singh held a so-called Jagmeet and Greet event billed in media reports at the time as a campaign event well outside the actual riding where Brian Chong was trying to win a seat. "This is something that's not going to happen overnight," Singh said Wednesday after his party's weekly caucus meeting on Parliament Hill. Liberal Jean Yip retained the Scarborough Agincourt riding that had been held by her husband, Arnold Chan, until his untimely death from cancer in September. She captured 49.4% of the vote, followed by Conservative Da Song Zo who pulled in 40.5%. Chong wound up with just 5.1%, down almost 3 percentage points from the NDP's already poor showing in the riding during the 2015 general election. He scraped together fewer than 1,000 votes. The NDP share of the vote similarly declined in the other three ridings where by-elections were held Monday, as it did in two October by-elections held about a month after Singh took the helm of the party. The most jarring result for New Democrats was likely in Lac-Saint-Jean, a Quebec riding in which the party had finished a close second in 2015 but wound up a distant fourth in October as the Liberals stole the riding from the Conservatives. It seemed further evidence that the tide has gone out on the orange wave that swept the province in 2011 under Jack Layton. "We've had a certain direction that the party was headed in over the past 2 years, and I never expected to be able to turn things around in just 2 months," Singh said. "I know it's going to take a lot of hard work, and am not in any way discouraged, am just encouraged to work even harder, and I'll continue to do that." As for the Scarborough event, it was never meant to be billed as a by-election campaign event, said Singh, even though some media reports at the time framed it that way, and Chong was on hand as an invited guest. "We had already planned a Jagmeet and Greet for Scarborough, we were doing a bit of a homecoming tour," said Singh, who was born in the suburb. "We had already selected the location and we invited the candidate. Naturally, we were having a by-election and we wanted the candidate to be there." Singh did not explain why the party would have planned a Scarborough event outside the riding where it knew a by-election call was imminent. New Democrats had gambled in choosing Singh that what they might lose in Quebec where he was an unknown and where his turban was an issue for some they would make up in ridings in with large populations of new Canadians in Ontario and British Columbia, particularly in the suburbs around Toronto where Singh had held a seat in the provincial legislature. Which is what makes the dismal showing in Scarborough Agincourt arguably more significant.